Alright, hey everybody. I'm skipping questions, the first questions which are rewriting, because I really don't think that you need me to do that. Alright, hopping right into number 1 in the second section. So what you need to do is split this up into 4 different problems. We have the third root of -8, third root of x cubed, third root of y cubed, and the third root of z to the -6. Third root of -8 is equal to -2. This is equal to 3 over 3, which is 1, so you don't need the 1. This is also equal to 3 over 3, which is y, so you don't need that. And this is equal to -6 over 3, which is -2. So you know you're not allowed to have negative exponents. So you're going to drop the z down, leave that alone because that's a negative number, not a negative exponent. And you're left with -2xy z squared. Okay, remember, only negative exponents get dropped, not negative numbers. Alright, next one we did in class, so I'm not going to do that one too much. I'm just going to write down what we had in class. Four to the 1/2 is 2. 16 to the 1/2 is 4. When you subtract 1/2 minus 1/2, you get 0. And when you subtract -1/2 minus 3/2, you get -2. So you're left with 2 over 4. These cancel out. Y to the -2. Now you know that you're not allowed to have negative exponents. So you're going to drop that down. You want to simplify that to 1/2. So your final answer should be 1 over 2y to the second power. Okay, the next one is the rule of same radical. So you can divide these two, leave that the same, and then split it up into 2 different problems. So this is actually equal to 2 over 2. And the square root of 4 is 2. So 2 over 2 is 1. So the whole thing is equal to 2x. Alright, next one we have 1 over 2/16 to the -1/3. You know that whenever you have a negative exponent, you can flip your fraction over. Because you can't put 1 over something that's already a fraction. So you can just get the reciprocal. So now you're going to apply that 1/3 to each piece. The third root of 2/16 is equal to 6. The third root of 1 is equal to 1. So your answer is just simply 6. Alright, we did this one in class. So you do 64 times 8, which is 512, over 2. And mindfully don't touch the exponents. Leave them alone. Divide those two, you get 256 to the 1/4, which is really the fourth root of 256, which is 4. Okay, last one. These are the same base but different roots. So you have to change the roots to fractional exponents. And then you're going to take those fractional exponents and subtract them because this is division. So 1/3 minus 1/4, just put that in your calculator and you get 1/12. So this is x to the 1/12 power. That's it. Alright, number 7, you're going to do 27 to the 2/3. X to the 6 times 2/3. 8 to the 2/3. and y to the 12 times 2/3. So the first one is really the third root of 27 squared and the third root of 8 squared times 6 times 2 is 12 over 3, and 12 times 2 is 24 over 3. So when you simplify it, the third root of 27 is 3. 3 squared is 9. The third root of 8 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. And that's going to all be times x to the 12 over 3, which is 4, and y to the 24 over 3, which is 8. So this is your final answer. Okay, next up, same base, different roots. Remember, there's an imaginary 2 here, so we change that to 3 to the 1/3 over 3 to the 1/2. Subtract your exponents, and you wind up getting 3 to the negative 1/6. So just drop that to the denominator, and that's it. Okay, we did this one in class, so it was 27 times 9, which was 243. And you know that you can add your exponents. So that would be 1 plus 14 is 15. Split these into two different problems. So you'll notice that the fifth root of 243 is 3. You know that. This is really equal to x to the 15, that's the numerator, over 5, that's the denominator. 15 over 5 is equal to 3. And that's your final answer. Okay, number 10 we did in class. So you're going to multiply 4 times 32, and that's equal to 128. And you're going to add your exponents, and you get x squared. Divide all of that by 8x squared to the negative 1/4. Remember, these x squareds can cancel out. So you're going to be left with 16 to the negative 1/4 because you divide these two. Remember, we can't have negatives, so that drops to the bottom. And you put a 1 on top. 16 to the 1/4 is the same thing as the 4th root of 16, which means the answer to this question is 1/2. Alright, the next one you're going to multiply. You don't have to touch the 8 with the 5/2 because it's just a base. It's not a coefficient. So you're going to do 2/3 times 5/2, and that's equal to 8 to the 5/3. Now, the third represents a root, so we can take the third root of 8. That's possible. And then raise it to the 5th power. The third root of 8 is 2, and 2 to the 5th is 32. So if you can't take the third root of a number, you can leave it like this. But we can take the third root of 8. That's why we're able to change that answer. Alright, same root, so we can just divide those two. So 240 divided by 15 is 16. And the 4th root of 16 is 2. Alright, this next one you want to apply the negative 3 first. So you want to make this x to the negative 3 and y to the negative 3. And now, since this is division, you want to subtract 3 minus negative 3 and 3 minus negative 3. That's not 0, guys. So if you got 0, it's not. It's going to wind up being x to the 6 y to the 6. Alright, we did this one in class. So when you multiply 27 times 3, you wind up getting, trying to keep myself color-coded here, you get 81, and you can add these exponents and you get 10. So now, because it's the same root, you can just divide regular. 81 divided by 81 will be canceled out. And then 16 minus 10 is 6. So you're left with third root of x to the 6. You can rewrite that with 6 being the numerator. That's the denominator. So 6 over 3 is x squared. Okay, last one here. You're going to subtract your exponents. So we have 5/4 minus 1/4 and negative 2/3 minus 1/3. 5/4 minus 1/4 is 1. Negative 2/3 minus 1/3 is actually negative 1. So you have to drop that underneath the x. So your answer would just simply be x over y. Alright, this next one you're going to do exactly the same thing that you did for number 11. You're just going to multiply these two. Don't worry about the 1,000. So we do 1/2 times 2/3. That's going to be equal to 1,000 to the 1/3 power. We know that as the third root of 1,000, which is just simply 10. Next one, same base, which means you can add the exponents. So it'll be 2/3 plus 4/3. That's equal to 2. And this answer is just simply 25. Okay, last one. You can apply the 3 to both of them, or you can multiply these two. So if we apply the 3, it would be 1/3 times 3 times 1/3 times 3. That's just simply to the first power. So this is really just 3 times 4 is 12. The other way that you could have done it is you could have multiplied those two and got 12 to the 1/3, since it's the same power. And then just multiply these two. 1/3 times 3 is 12 to the 1. And it's 12. So two different ways of getting the same exact answer. Alright, now to the solving section. This is the one that I did in class. So first thing you want to do is divide by 2. And you get x minus 5 cubed equals 8. The only way to get rid of the cube is to do the cube root. So we have x minus 5, oops, no more parentheses, equals the third root of 8 is 2. Now we're going to add the 5, and we find out that x equals 7. Remember, you always have to check your work to make sure. So 2 times 7 minus 5 cubed is 2 times 2 cubed. Remember, you do PEMDAS says do the exponent first, so 2 times 8 is 16, which is what we wanted to get all along. Alright, the next one has a cube root, so the only way to get rid of that root is to cube it. So we have 2x equals 64. Divide by 2, x equals 32. So now you just want to check it just to make sure that it's okay. 2 times 32 is 64, and the third root of 64 is 4, so it checks out just fine. Okay, next one I did in class as well. So you square it. You get 3x equals x plus 6 minus x on both sides. You get 2x equals 6. Divide by 2, x equals 3. Check it. And you get 3 times 3 equals 3 plus 6. Well, 3 times 3 is 9. 3 plus 6 is 9, so it checks out. Alright, next one, we're going to get rid of the 3 first. So you subtract 3 on both sides, and you get x to the 1/2 equals 1. Well, the only way to get rid of that 1/2, which is really a square root, is to square both sides. Multiply by the reciprocal. So that would be like 2 over 1, which is 2. So that's 1 squared. So x equals 1. Okay, replace 1 back into your equation. 1 to the 1/2 is 1. And 4 equals 4. So it checks out. Alright, this next one you want to add 9 first because we can't get rid of that 4th root without adding 9. Negative 5 plus 9 is 4. Now we want to get rid of that 4th root by doing the 4th power. 4 to the 4th is 256. And we find out that x is 128. Again, you want to check it to make sure that you did it right. So the 4th root of 256 is 4. And 4 minus 9 is negative 5. So that checks out. Alright, this next one I did with 3rd and 5th period, but I didn't do it with 2nd, so really pay attention. Minus 5 first. And now you want to divide by negative 3 to get rid of that negative 3. Because it's not a root, it's a number. It's a coefficient. So now we have negative 3. The only way to get rid of that root is to square. But make sure that you square in parentheses, or else your calculator is going to give you the wrong answer. So negative 3 squared is 9. Minus 6, we get 3. Now here's the tricky part. You have to check. And this is why you check. So we do negative 3 times 3 plus 6 plus 5 equals 14. Negative 3 times the square root of 9 plus 5 equals 14. Negative 3 times 3 plus 5 equals 14. Negative 3 times 3 comes first. That's negative 9 plus 5 equals 14. Negative 9 plus 5 does not equal 14. It equals negative 4. So because the check doesn't work, that means that that answer doesn't work, and it's no real solution. The reason why it doesn't work is when you square a negative number, it gives you a positive number. But when you take a square root of that same number, you won't get the negative back. So you have to really watch that. That's why you do a check. Alright, so that ends part 1 of the video. So I'll continue with the rest of this in part 2.